rain. It falls continuously, creating a sound that is calming yet foreboding. It can signify a tumultuous point in your life, or can signify a bad day of bad weather. There's this saying, the one that mentions when it rains, it pours. Yeah, today is one of those days. It feels like a barrage of bullets hailing from the sky, falling on every brick, every piece of pavement that I step on. This metaphorical rain feels like 1,000 needles stabbing you right in the back. Those needles turn to words. Those words turn to realities that slowly burn your mind away. Yeah, it's one of those days, alright, when the whiskey just isn't strong enough, but you're afraid to try anything else. It's another video created for the world to see and humiliate. One of those days where you start considering even quitting YouTube.
TGR.
Man, do I love me some Max Payne. I was introduced to the series way back when I owned an original Xbox and saw the first game on a bargain bin sale. Do you remember those weird looking platinum hitboxes? They're not that bad looking. But talk about a great blind purchase, however. The cover art drew me in, but the gameplay and story kept me hooked. Immediately, the game begins with this dark, moody atmosphere and a truly tragic backstory for our main character, Max Payne. Then you start playing the game and the shooting is solid, but the bullet time mechanic, which was heavily popularized by the first Matrix film, was incredibly awesome and unique for its time. The gameplay loop was spectacular, going from goon to goon, taking out your enemies in super cool fashion. The rest of the game continued with this pace up until the very end, with a great story that reveals many twists along the way. I remember replaying this game quite a few times as it was super cinematic and for its time sounded great on my little surround sound that I had set up in my room. As a young teen, the moody noir story cemented itself in my brain and I fell in love with its characters. So when the sequel was announced, you can bet your butt I was pretty excited. And oh boy, what a sequel.
Body's bullshit blazing, still my heart is blazing. If the word kill me, I don't need a new word under you. Soon you will know, we already know the smell of the game.
Now, I don't remember if I was able to purchase the game on day one, but Max Payne 2 released on October 14th, 2003 in North America, and once I finally got my hands on it, I really couldn't put it down. The game received critical praise, but it was short, like really short, clocking in at around 5 hours. I didn't care though, I replayed the heck out of it over and over again for quite a number of reasons. One was the combat, which felt excellent. In the original game, like I mentioned earlier, bullet time was your primary technique to facilitate taking down enemies. But for the sequels, the devs decided to implement a simple change that would encourage more aggressive play. It led to some really funky and fun scenarios, which, paired with the Havoc physics engine, led to a feeling of a sandbox of sorts. It was just a super fun game and loop, coupled with an exceptional story that was way more mature than I was back then. Boobs. So, Remedy recently announced that they would be remaking both Max Payne 1 and 2, and that got me to thinking, does Max Payne 2, one of my favorite games of all time, still hold up today? So let's get the obvious out of the way. Graphically, the game doesn't really hold up that well. It is a title that released 19 years ago from the time of this writing, so it does look dated, that's kind of obvious. However, one thing that doesn't look dated or feel dated is the physics. They hold up very well, and there is admittedly a certain charm to the style of graphics that are found in, the 6th generation of consoles, the Xbox, PlayStation 2, and Nintendo GameCube. So it's not an ugly game per se, it's just, like I said earlier, kind of dated. Playing the game on a modern PC with all the settings cranked up to high makes it look like this. and it's not bad. Looks kind of good, actually. The story, though, that's an aspect that aged far better. After the events of the first game, we see Max trying to live his life post the crazy twist from the first title, which I don't want to spoil for the time that you get to play the remake or maybe play the first one. Now in the sequel, Max is going on a journey that features more grim, dark self-reflection, further betrayals, with some characters that are added to the mix, which I genuinely found interesting and compelling. Kudos to my boy, Vinny Gognitti, what a Chad! And then the ending of the game is incredibly powerful, culminating in one of my favorite vocal songs used in a video game, one that actually we hear constantly throughout the game, alluding to said ending.
It's a late goodbye, such a late goodbye.
Super freaking cool, super cool attention to detail. I think one day I will make a proper retrospective on Max Payne as a series because it does deserve the attention, maybe closer to when the remakes come out. So the game looks fine for today's day and age, the story still holds up extremely well, but what about the gameplay? Well, I'm happy to say that this is one of the most refined shooters ever. The gameplay loop was already really solid in the original, but in the sequel it just feels fantastic. There is a variety of guns that Max can use, from Berettas to Desert Eagles to Kalashnikovs, AK-47s to Uzis, shotguns. I mean, they're all here. And they're all really fun when combined with the mechanics that the game puts forth. I remember that I used to sometimes spend minutes at a time on one specific shootout encounter just to try and finish it as stylishly as possible, something that I really didn't do with other games of similar length and a similar style.
Hey!
You should be able to make the jump to the balcony below.
There's just something about the feel of the mechanics in Max Payne 2 that have aged like fine wine, which honestly puts some other modern third-person shooters to shame. I'm looking at you, Uncharted. Diving and slowing down time not only looks cool as fuck, but also feels cool as fuck, and Remedy were really able to land this perfect combination. And one of the coolest things about it was that Max Payne didn't take a lot of hits, so it was almost a kill or be killed scenario where your reflexes really were tested and you needed to rely on the mechanics the game gave you at all times. Unfortunately though, the game really didn't sell well, and we wouldn't get a sequel until many years later in the Rockstar developed Max Payne 3, which I will definitely talk about in that future video, but for now, just know that it seemed like that would be the last time we'd get to play as Detective Payne. Thankfully, I was wrong, and Remedy announced those two remakes, and I'm hella excited. As I just mentioned in the video, Max Payne 2 still holds up incredibly well with some fantastic combat and an engaging story, so I do beg the question, why a remake and not a remaster? I mean, the game, like I said, plays well, has a good story, some bumped up textures, it could look great, but let's be honest here, it's probably the graphics. These don't pass as a modern game whatsoever. So in a perfect world, that's the only part that I would hope Remedy would upgrade for the remakes, the graphics, and maybe giving the combat upgrades that Max Payne got in the sequel to the first game, but only time will tell. These games are very simple, but incredibly fun and engaging, and I don't personally think they would benefit from any added gameplay mechanics, but I mean, I'm no game designer, so what do I know? Hopefully, whatever Remedy decides to do ensures that the series sells better in today's market, and we get another chance to enjoy a new and gritty Max Payne adventure. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out my latest video. I do appreciate it if you're still watching at the end. Not a very long video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Max Payne 2 and how it still holds up today. Honestly, I may not have gone into super deep detail because I do want to make a full, comprehensive retrospective on the series later on in the future. But it's just a really good game, and right now it's on sale. It's always cheap. I mean, it's an old game. You'll always find it on sale. So I highly suggest you playing it. It's, Max Payne 1 and 2. That you do have to kind of mess around. I had some issues with the first game. It didn't load up any sounds, so there's a fix that's needed. And also Max Payne 2 looked awful before applying this widescreen fix. So definitely consider that. Old games kind of run crap in modern systems. But again, thanks for checking out the video. If you liked it, or if you actually do want to see a retrospective on Max Payne, let me know, because I just kind of do what I want with these videos, and I don't know if people want to watch them, but I would love it if I knew. But yeah, if you want to check out more of the channel, please check out our videos, because we do a lot of stuff, and it's not just reactions, which you may have fun through those, which is fine, but whatever. I just watch our stuff. Support us on Patreon. It's YouTube. You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and do all that. And yeah, please comment. Do something. Put an emoji, because we need the Iago to like what we do, because I want to keep making these types of videos. Anyway, thanks for listening, and hear me rant. I'm done. I'm out. Have a good night. I'll catch you in the next one. Later, y'all. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more and stay up to date, subscribe, hit the little bell, and join our Discord.
If you want to support the channel, please check out our Patreon or hit the join button below. As always, thanks for your support and thanks for watching.